From WREL News and the Capital Broadcasting Podcast Network, this is your Coronavirus North Carolina News Brief for Thursday, June 18th, 2020. I'm Cliff Baumgartner. Here's the latest from WREL.com. Starting tomorrow afternoon, people will be required to wear masks when out in public in Raleigh. Yesterday, Mayor Mary Ann Baldwin amended the city's emergency order during the coronavirus pandemic to make face coverings mandatory when social distancing in public is difficult or impossible. Previously, the city council voted unanimously to authorize Baldwin to take the step, noting that Wake County has the second highest number of coronavirus infections in North Carolina, and the numbers keep growing. The requirement takes effect at 4 p.m. tomorrow, and the mayor said Raleigh is working with WakeMed and Wake County to try to supply masks or other coverings to people who don't have any. Masks aren't required for children 12 and under or for people who cannot wear them because of medical or religious reasons. Baldwin said she was irate that crowds of people without masks and who were ignoring social distancing guidelines were milling about outside restaurants in the Glenwood South area over the weekend. Raleigh police won't be citing anyone for not wearing masks in public, and Baldwin said the city wants to focus on education to get people to comply. Raleigh's requirement is patterned after one Durham County put into effect last month, and Baldwin said people have complied there. Orange County also requires masks in public. Baldwin said she hopes that supermarkets, restaurants, and other retailers will help enforce the requirement by informing customers who aren't wearing masks to cover their faces. Wake County officials said they won't enact a county-wide requirement because Raleigh is one of the few municipalities to support the move. A spokesperson for Knightdale said the city is considering such a mandate, but almost every other town in Wake County has said they aren't interested in requiring people to wear masks to limit the spread of coronavirus. Today, state lawmakers advanced another bill to chip away at state orders keeping segments of the state's economy closed over COVID-19. Voting a bill through committee that would let reception venues, arcades, and amusement parks reopen at lower capacities. The Senate Commerce and Insurance Committee also advanced a bill to keep state and local governments from banning 4th of July parades and fireworks shows this year. Both bills have several more stops before they pass the full General Assembly, and they face the threat of veto from Governor Roy Cooper, who's criticized the Republican-controlled legislature for advancing measures meant to undo his administration's closure orders. The bills would also limit his ability to close things down again if the state sees a spike in COVID-19 cases, which have been increasing steadily in recent weeks. Among other things, the state hit a new high yesterday for COVID-19 hospitalizations, and that was the fifth record-setting day in the last week alone. The measure, House Bill 258, includes a number of requirements for businesses and venues, including opening at 50% capacity and making hand sanitizer readily available. In general, masks are required for employees, but not guests. House Bill 686 would forbid the state and local governments from prohibiting parades or fireworks on the 4th of July. The next stop for both measures is the Senate Rules Committee. The legislature is moving quickly and may wrap up its business late next week, so these measures may pass the General Assembly soon. If Cooper vetoes them, as he has a bill reopening bars despite his closure orders, the legislature's Republican majority would need some Democrats to join them to override that veto. So far, General Assembly Democrats have stuck with the governor. A major airline industry group said carriers will step up enforcement of requirements that passengers and employees wear masks, with one airline threatening to ban travelers who don't comply. United Airlines said starting today, passengers not heeding the mask requirement will lose their travel privileges on the carrier for, quote, a duration of time to be determined pending a comprehensive incident review. Delta Airlines and Southwest Airlines also require masks, but haven't announced any temporary bans for passengers who refuse. The move comes amid a steep drop in air travel and continued health risks in crowded, enclosed spaces because of the coronavirus pandemic. Airlines for America, the lobbying group for U.S. carriers, said this week that each airline will determine the appropriate consequences for passengers who don't comply with airline policies. The Association of Flight Attendants Union, which represents flight attendants at United and some other airlines, called for the federal government to mandate masks for passengers and frontline workers, calling them essential to keeping people safe and to rebuild confidence in air travel. And lastly, overtime pay, expensive cleaning supplies, contract nurses, remote meetings, and other costs at the General Assembly related to the coronavirus pandemic have topped $1 million since March, according to the office that oversees buildings and logistics for the legislature. The disclosure came yesterday in a letter responding to Senate Democrats who had formally complained the day before about lax working guidelines at the legislature, which dropped a front-door temperature check requirement as of Monday. Legislative Services Officer Paul Coble, a former Raleigh mayor and Wake County commissioner, said in response that the building will reinstitute temperature checks next week, while the House and Senate are in session. In that response, Coble also ticked off efforts to keep the building safe. Many committees moved to online meetings, which generated costs, and the legislature purchased masks, gloves, sanitizer, and other supplies for lawmakers and others who work in the General Assembly building and the Legislative Office building nearby. Coble said his office brought in electrostatic cleaners, which spray a mist of disinfectant, and insists that while not all of the safety measures are immediately obvious to observers, they are very effective. This has been your Coronavirus North Carolina News Brief for Thursday, June 18th, 2020. As always, if you like the information and resources you get from this show, let us know. Leave a rating and review wherever it is you listen. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our new episodes. Thanks for listening.